So we wrote the story together, and so I write the story, and when you read it, I write Serafina, the main female lead, and my co-writer Jess writes Draven. So when you're reading it, there's two different personalities. When you read it,
Oh, that's
a little
awesome.
bit more unique.
Yeah.
And doing that, we've written about 125 issues. It was not
Wow.
intentional. We wrote it for fun. I wrote it to get past the writing thing, and we just started writing it. I think we wrote it as novels. We're not releasing it ever as novels because I'm a horrible writer. I'm just an amazing storyteller. So it worked out
And
for
there is a
comics
big
quite
difference.
well.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we wrote about 15 novels, and now I'm converting them into the comics. So, and it's quite an
cool.
obsession. It's
Well, hey everybody, welcome back.
Hey everyone.
Generation X Paranormal, I'm Logan.
And I'm Nicole.
Guys, we we usually have some really good guests on, and they kind of vary all over the paranormal.
Yeah.
Ghosts, cryptids. I mean, we've had authors of some amazing things that have come on, like even like Gary Simmons, who had an amazing paranormal book.
Yes. I loved
So
it.
we try to bring you stuff that's maybe not something you always hear about in the paranormal, and today is absolutely no different.
Very unique.
Very, very unique. We ran into someone who does paranormal comics. It's like a paranormal comic strip. Now I know that we spoke with I think we talked to Aaron Sagers, and he does like a paranormal Batman, right? There was something like that he did.
Yeah, his comic book
right,
at Paracon.
That Paracon, and so we knew they were out there, but I never knew there was somebody that had quite a large lineage of different things. Let me tell you something. Who we're going to talk to today has that. And we're going to be talking to Corissa Grant. What can you tell us about Corissa?
So Corissa is the creator of Worthy, Chaos Comics, and Cryptids. And she's got several different storylines.
Yes.
But I'm just going to read you what's on their website. And I think it's kind of a cute little tagline.
It is really cool, yeah.
It's come immerse yourself in the dark and enthralling world of the Worthy Chaos series. Join us in unlocking the secrets of a world where chaos meets destiny.
That's awesome. Let's talk to Corissa.
Yeah, find out what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, hey, Corissa, welcome to Generation X Paranormal. How you doing?
good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. We have a lot of guests on that, run the typical, hey, we have been to this haunted place, or we've gone to this whatever have you, paranormal, or we've had this experience. And I'm sure you've had that too, but we've got this is very different for us, which is really cool because I think comics and things like that are so they're very Generation X, number one, which is great for us.
Next generation.
It is the best generation, but it's also kind of missing. I think it all kind of started once in that, and it's nice to see things kind of start moving back that way. But kind of before we jump into that, you mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself?
My name's Corissa Grant. I am Generation X. I am I am the writer and creator of Worthy Chaos Comics. I am dyslexic, and I started writing to kind of get past that. So I started role playing online, where you write back and forth with somebody. Like I'll write a chapter, and then they answer things that I did in my chapter, and stuff like that. I did that for like 17 years. So and
Wow.
this story idea was from 17 years ago, but I started writing it with a role player that I met online, my co-writer, Jess, about, I think it's 5 years this September. It seems like
Wow.
I
Wow.
think it's
Goes
5 years.
quick.
Yeah. Um, So we wrote the story together, and so I write the story, and when you read it, I write Serafina, the main female lead, and my co-writer Jess writes Draven. So when you're reading it, there's two different personalities when you read it, which
Oh,
makes
that's
it a
awesome.
little bit more unique.
Yeah.
And in doing that, we've written about 125 issues. It was not
Wow.
intentional. We wrote it for fun. I wrote it to get past the writing thing, and we just started writing it. And I think we wrote it as novels. We're not releasing it ever as novels because I'm a horrible writer. I'm just an amazing storyteller. So it worked
And
out
there
for
is a big
comics
difference.
quite
Yeah.
well.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So we wrote about 15 novels, and now I'm converting them into the comics. So, and
That's
it's quite an
cool.
obsession. It's a
Yeah.
little too
Yeah.
I'm a little too obsessed. Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, anything you're passionate about, you
Mhm.
you kind of run that bleed over into obsession. I mean, it's just
You almost have to get all the work done.
yeah, especially for how prolific you've been. As much as you're going to put out, that's a lot of work. So
Well,
yeah, I can understand.
let me give you an idea of the difference between me and a normal, intelligent person that does it right, indie creator. Most indie creators release like 3 to 4 issues a year. In 2.5 years, we've done like 27 issues. So,
Wow.
Wow.
what mostly
Wow.
happened was, so my artist, I have 2 stories. I have Redemption, which is a horror supernatural storyline. Um,
Mhm.
and my the first artist I found, screwed me out of 5 grand. So like I was very like that was my first
Oh no.
experience in comics. I was like,
That
maybe this isn't
sucks.
for me.
Yeah.
So I met this artist and Jonas DaCosta, and I hated his style so much. It was so realistic, and I couldn't stand it. And I was like, that's not for me. But he's like, oh, I'll do a free page for you. And I was like, all right, I guess I got nothing to lose, do a free page. And I've gone for 6 months. I was trying to find an artist. So it was not even the first one wasn't the 5,000 wasn't my favorite. Like it was just like the closest I came to what I wanted. Jonas
Mhm.
Acosta did this page in 24 hours. He had pencil, inked, colored, and lettered. And it looked
Jeez.
perfect. It was like exactly how I pictured it in my head. So I was like, all right,
Wow.
you're hired. But I'm terrified to hire someone who's new. And he's like, pay me after the first issue and we'll go from there. And I was like, all right, got nothing to lose. Now he's on issue 22. So,
That's amazing.
but he had never worked in comics before.
Hmm.
And as soon as he started it, he quit his job. And I was like, well, damn it. I was like, now I feel like question if this actually works.
Yeah.
So I was
Right.
paying him for a whole issue every month because that's all he had was me. So he had all the time in the world. And I kept telling everyone because my friends like, you have to slow down because like the credit card debt was like coming.
Yeah.
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 But I was
We
like, no, no, no. See,
understand.
the plan is that eventually he's going to get popular and then he won't be able to do them as much. So I need to like get to that point. Um, and it took 21 issues and he finally got to that point. So now
That's
instead of 1 issue every month, it's 1 issue every 3 months and it's a little bit more doable. So
right.
that works out. Now I have the other story because my husband told me in 2 years, slow down if it's not working out. Right. So
Mhm.
the 2 year mark came and I was like, okay, no, wait, I want to do another series. So I added on another series. And he's like, I thought you were going to slow down. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. No. So we started writing Devastation, which is the one with the cryptids. And
Okay.
Okay.
it's the same character set in their previous life. So it's the 1880s.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
and so we wrote that. So that one has the most, Bigfoot, Wendigo and
Mhm.
Sure.
all that fun. It's got 30 plus cryptids now. The story.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Really cool.
I
So
love that.
that brings me another question. With comics, and of course we've all kind of done our fair share with comics. Why the paranormal? What made you decide to get into paranormal storytelling? I mean, obviously with comics, you can kind of, obviously the world's your oyster. Why paranormal?
So the whole thing started, um, r- it's a really weird story. I used to have a dream every night from the age of 5 to 21 of alligators, alligators in
Mm.
swamps, and every
Yeah.
night. And it started as a little puddle. and went to where when I was 21, I think the whole world was just swamps and the houses were connected to bridges. So, and the reason I tell you that story is because when I moved out, it stopped. And I was like, that's weird. What does that mean? So when I looked it up, if you ever look up the meaning of dreams, it was two things. It was one, you have a hidden talent, and two, you want independence from your parents. so
Wow.
either it was both of them or one of them, but it stopped when I moved out. And the reason why I tell you that story is because I saw a commercial. Have you ever heard of the story of the game Resident Evil?
Oh,
Yes.
of course.
Okay.
Yes.
So Resident Evil 2 came out, and there was I looked it up. It was a 4-second scene where the alligator comes out of the sewer and goes after Leon.
Scared the crap
Yeah.
out of me when it happened.
That commercial, I kid you not, I was a teenager. I went out and bought PlayStation and then had to rent the game because I ran out of money. So I had to rent the game, and there was no instructions or anything. And my brother, who's been playing Zelda since he was in the wound, like I was yelling because I kept walking back into the fire, and my brother comes in, grabs the controller, starts playing it, and I got so mad. I was like, "Get the hell out of the get the hell out of here!" And then that was it. I was obsessed, and that when I was role playing, I was actually playing as Claire Redfield. That was the character. I role played for her for 17 years. So in my story, there's a lot of little alligator things. And so it has Resident Evil themes, and it also has Supernatural, the show Supernatural, in it.
Okay.
So those two were the inspirations. It started as Resident Evil, and then Supernatural started, and it's like, oh, that's too cool. And she became a supernatural hunter in Resident Evil world.
That's pretty
That
cool.
is pretty
So
cool.
yeah, there's that.
That alligator. Oh, so funny story about that. I was in the Navy at the time when that came out, which probably tells you how old I am. We worked the night shift, and when we were done, we had some time to ourselves. And one of the guys came in. He had a PlayStation. He's like, "Hey, man, there's this really good game, and it's supposed to be pretty scary. So we'll play it." So it kind of became a thing. We did this for, gosh, I don't know, what, a week or so. And come the infamous part of the alligator. So we've got one guy playing it, and I wish I'd have been a fly on the wall for this, but there was 3 or 4 of us just kind of gathering around. And when that thing jumps out, I'm pretty sure all of us hit the floor. I mean, we just all hit the deck. It was so scary. Nikki, I don't think if you ever played it, but Resident Evil is one of those games where it's like the creep factor's in there big time. Like you open these doors and it's really kind of just
I've seen
suspense.
it.
They
Yeah.
got the music going.
Yeah, and you can hear all the monsters in the background and everything. Anyway, this had none of that. It jumped out of nowhere, and you could
just
not
open
see
a
it
door.
coming.
You open a door.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it
That's
kills you
scary.
instantly. Kills you instantly.
It does.
It-
You know
it-
what's funny?
I won't-
Did you ever play Resident Evil 4?
No, I didn't. And it's funny because I actually own a couple Resident Evils that I haven't even played yet.
Yeah,
Isn't
me
that crazy?
too.
Yeah.
But that was the one that made me scream, and I wasn't with my husband at the time. I was living with somebody else, and I could not get into the village. I think it was a demo that somebody one of the boys at the game store at work let me have it. And I was so proud of myself because I finally got past this guy that kills you with a chainsaw, right? I was so proud of myself. I put something in front of the door, and I was sniping from the window, and I guess I heard things going on downstairs, in the game, but I wasn't paying attention. And apparently he had cut through,
Oh,
So
man.
I was so into the game that this thing just chops you in half out of nowhere, and I screamed so loud that my boyfriend at the time was like, "What happened?" I was like, "I got killed with a chainsaw." I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah.
So
That again.
that was that. But
Those games are absolutely
yeah.
terrifying. But so I guess basically with all and we kind of talked about some of the the fantasy part of it, which is awesome. It's amazing. But was there ever like a what the hell was that moment for you kind of in the real world, kind of that helped you, kind of inspired you to kind of start going down this?
Yes. Fortunately, not at my house. So I was let me see. I'm gonna say 16, like 16 or 17, and I was house sitting, or cat sitting, actually. And normally I like pitch darkness. Like I've always liked pitch darkness and the doors shut. For whatever reason, I didn't have it. Like they either had some kind of light in the hallway on or something really weird, or I left it slightly open for the cat. But I usually, even when I was a kid, it was always locked. So this is really weird that I did this, or I did it and I don't remember and whatever. So I'm laying in bed and I kind of look over and there's this shadow of a person. Now, like some people say it looks like a shadow man, like, but to me, it literally looked like a shadow, like somebody's shadow, not a dark figure in your room, but the shadow on the wall. And it was like a full-grown person. And I watched it, and I remember I didn't try to get up. I wasn't scared yet. I wasn't thinking about it, but I watched it just move across the wall and then go under the bed. So my first instinct, which is wrong, by the way, was to get up to look under the bed. So like I jumped up to look under it, and then I stopped myself, and I was like, nope, that's dumb. So I was like, and then I was like, I must have fell asleep. Yeah, that was it. Like I was like, I must have fell asleep.
Right.
So I convinced myself I did, and I went back to sleep. And it was like 10 years later, and I'm watching like this paranormal show, and this girl's like, oh yeah, I was laying in bed, and I saw the shadow of a person walking, going, oh, fine. You stole my scene. So that's where I was like, maybe I did see something. So that is the only thing I can remember. I got fired, which I was very grateful for. Either the cats did it or whatever, but all the dirt from the plants were out of the plants in the house.
Wow.
And they blamed me.
Wow.
What am I digging for gold? Like, what
Yeah,
am I doing?
right. It seems like a very arbitrary, weird thing to
it's
be
a
like,
weird
yeah,
thing.
that was me.
So
Yeah.
they blamed me for whatever reason, and I was like, okay, I didn't want to go back anyway.
Yeah, good point.
So I was perfectly fine with that. But yeah, and it wasn't that was Connecticut, and it was a very old town. I don't know I think it was Ridgefield, and I'm not saying they're known for but it's known to be older. So who knows?
Yeah. Older
But
homes.
yeah, that was probably the scariest thing that I've seen. So, but it was so like, how you convince yourself? No, didn't see it. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you can talk yourself out of anything.
I was like,
And
no,
we've done it.
didn't see it. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was very weird. But it was just the oddest part of the whole thing was, I don't know if I left the door open or if it opened, because I don't remember any of that. But all I remember especially as a kid, even now, pitch black room. So I don't remember where the light came from. I don't know if it's something that they couldn't do or what. But even in my house, it's like blackout curtains. So I don't remember where the light was coming from. But I definitely something was
That's
making the
interesting.
shadow. But yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mhm.
And that's a very common kind of
Mm.
first entry into the paranormal world.
Yes,
A lot
I
of
it
have
people
is.
get
heard that
that.
shadow men are the most common.
Yeah.
Right. They really are.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do is that we're very light sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Humans can pick up light pretty easily. Now, obviously, there's other animals that do it better, but we're very reactive to light. So that always makes sense that that's usually
What wakes us
kinda-
up and makes
right
us see it.
the
yeah.
first
You know,
thing.
I
Mhm.
always had a fear, and I had really stupid fears when I was a kid, but my biggest fear was to put my hands behind my head and somebody grabbed from underneath the bed. So the fact that I even
Huh.
got up to go look was like, no, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't do under the bed. Like, so that was, because that was always my fear, something grabbing. I could never put my hands behind my head when I was sleeping, because I always thought, I don't know why I always thought that, but I always thought that something was going to grab my hands. So
That's
wild.
interesting.
Yeah.
So kind of with that, there's with what you write about, you've got demons, you got angels, you got zombies, you got all these different things that are just, otherworldly and really cool. But have you ever started writing something on, holy crap, this kind of freaks me out, and you had to like kind of back up for a second, walk away, and kind of regroup?
I've never scared myself by writing, but I've literally had an argument with myself. So, like this is in Conviction, which is the next series, and there's this part where she goes in this room and these things attached to her arms, and I'm writing this, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, this is stupid. I was like, I don't know why I'm writing this. I'm gonna start over. And that freaking character in my head's like, nope, keep going. I was like, this is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even know what I'm writing.
Huh.
And the character's like, nope, keep going. So I wrote it, and it wound up being a pretty different, like, unique scene. And I sent it to my co-writer, because now my co-writer has to write back. And Jess is like, where the hell did this come from? I was like, no idea. Where's it going? No idea. So half the
interesting.
story, we always joke about the fact that we think, not that we tell a lot of people this because it sounds insane. Sometimes we feel like these things happen to them in another dimension, and it tells us this, because half my story is dreams I've had. Like, I'll wake up and be like, it's like 3. I always wake up, I only get 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So I always wake up around 3 or 3:30, and I'll have to get up and be like, all right, now I gotta write this. I'm like, this is okay, I gotta write. So half the series is pretty much something I had a dream of or something. But I always say, like, everyone's like, oh, what's your process of writing? I was like, I sit down and write. Like, I have
Right.
no I have no pre idea of what I'm writing. We might have a
You're not
general,
outlining anything or
yeah, we
anything.
might
It's
have a
just you're just
general
going.
idea, but I'm the one. She's like, it's just, I don't know where all the thoughts come from. I get my friends always like, where did you get that idea? I was like, no idea, no idea, because it's such a unique story, and I've never had writer's block. I've never had what's going to happen next or whatever. Sometimes I'll have so many ideas that I think at one point we had 5 different story situations happening at once that at the end we connected, which
Mm,
way. So, I have no idea where they come from. So I don't know.
interesting.
Another
That's
dimension is
cool.
all I've got.
I've heard that before though with other creative people. They usually have dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not the first time I've heard that. That's interesting.
Do you
Especially
find
like in the very beginning, I don't think there was a lot of dreams. But I kept remember saying to my curator, I'm gonna run out of ideas eventually. Like
Yeah.
there's no way I was like, I'm never gonna beat this idea. And then I'm like, oh wait, this is better. It's like, so like the further into the story, the more dreams I had. And the
Huh.
more I went with whatever the dreams were, especially the ending of the series of Resurrection, because I didn't even know, I never know how the story is going to end. So I had the dream of the ending. I was like, I got to write it. So I had to get up, and it was like, you know, in the beginning of my writing skills, I could write like one-liners and then like small paragraphs. Now I sit down and write 3 to 6,000 words at once. So I think I
Wow.
got a little better over the 17 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get an idea and
Practice.
I'll have to write it. So
so not knowing too much about how the comic book and how the how that whole process goes, do you actually like write like normal long form and then it gets kind of translated into the storyboard type look and kind of how comics go?
so the reason why I say I'm not a very good writer is because I don't do the show don't tell thing. I tried it once for a paragraph and it hurt my brain, so I don't do it anymore. But I literally just write exactly what my character sees or what's exactly going. I don't try too hard. I just write. Like, I never edit, I never do anything. So when it came to writing the comics, which again was not planned, um
Right.
I think I remember saying, what a waste of a gift. I finally found a skill and I can't do anything with it. I was like, I can't release these as a novel. I mean, I can't. Um, and then I was gonna release them for just us, like print them. And I was like, oh, let's get an artist just to make a cover just for us. Like, I'll pay an artist and whatever. And then when I was talking to my co-writer, I was like, oh, all these artists are too cartoony. Is that okay? And my co-writer was like, yeah, cartoon is fine. And then a light bulb goes off. What about a comic book? And how hard can it be? Was the dumbest words I've ever said in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
Try a
so,
podcast.
so when I went to convert it to a comic, it the way I wrote it is just, I didn't even have to edit it. I just have to separate it into panels, and that's it. It was the simplest thing. Um, because I literally hired an artist, and then I was like, "Huh, I should learn how to script." Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I don't
Sometimes
think
you're
too far ahead. So
Yeah,
I
but
watched
sometimes
it.
that's the greatest part of it though,
Yeah.
and you mentioned it a little bit before, and I've always been curious about this. We're creators. Everybody's kind of got that creative gene. When you get into this, it's just comes with it. But do you almost feel like sometimes you're writing for your characters, or I guess basically I'm framing it. Do you feel like the characters are just kind of using you as the
Yep.
instrument of their voice?
All the time. I
Yeah.
always say I'm just a pen to the character in my head.
Huh.
And I've
That's
always
cool.
thought that because I have no idea so when I used to do art when I was a kid, I can copy anybody's art like freehand. It looks exactly the way Dungeons and Dragons book looked. The Crow I copied, but I never could do anything on my own. Like, I couldn't just be like, I'm going to draw this. That's never happened. So as creative as I never had any. I don't want to say independent thought. Obviously, I did, but I
Right.
couldn't like make something independently. I always
Gotcha.
have
Yep.
to have something. So to have this entire story just and let me tell you something else that you'll understand. So I it's gonna sound weird. I write things and I don't know why until later. So, like, for example,
Huh.
in Redemption, one of the angels doesn't have any wings. And I never questioned it. I always thought, well, supernatural, they don't see the wings. That's, whatever. So, but all the other angels in my story have wings. And they're all from scripture, by the way. You can look any angel or demon up. They're all from scripture. And so Camiel is the angel of true love and conflict resolution, because apparently you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So anyway, the angel never had wings. So now I'm writing the prequel, which is the Western. And in the story, it comes out why he doesn't have wings. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea. But there were
Wow.
other things. For
That's
example,
fascinating.
simple things. So Seraphina's mother is a goddess. And I never thought about her at all when I was writing, not even a little bit. But then when it came time where I needed to figure out who she is, um, I looked up what fit her, because Seraphina's she was a falling star, in one of her lives.
Hmm.
So I looked up, so the angel of fallen star. But I had her healing in hot water for no reason whatsoever. I just thought it was a cool thing. I had the god Apollo in it send a guardian for her for no reason whatsoever. So apparently the goddess that I found, Serona, is not only a similar name. She's the goddess of hot springs, which I've never heard of this goddess ever. She's the goddess of falling stars, and she's friends with Apollo. So like I didn't know any of these things,
That's
but it
wild.
got written into the story. And it's not
Huh.
it's like all the time. Like, for example, her father in this, it started with her father. Her father is Remnal, and he is the angel of judges souls on earth and brings them to heaven. And I always thought, how does he carry these souls in his pocket? And that's when I created that angelic weapon you see behind you, my
Hmm.
logo.
Yeah.
So it holds all the souls. So I had him use those souls to create her. That was the whole point, to create her. Now, what I didn't realize at all until after the story was written and done, that Remnal is the first angel to go against God in scripture and create a half angel. Um, so they made Nephilims, which are half angel, half human. So yeah,
Right.
he
Yeah.
did this and he got, kicked out of heaven. But I didn't know that when I wrote it. I had never heard of him.
That's
And I was just
amazing.
like, okay, he judges souls and all that stuff.
Huh.
That I didn't know of. And also Draven's father, I had no idea. And we found this chaos demon. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Chaos. He eats souls.
Mhm.
But not only that, and he's not connected in scripture at all, but Asma, he would eat souls or steal souls from the Bridge of Judgment, which we didn't know anything about. But he's also allergic or immune, I guess, yeah, complete opposite. He's immune to lightning of any sort, magical or natural. And
Hmm.
Remnal's only weapon is lightning. So we had these two fathers battling out and had no idea that they were even connected. So that happened like nonstop in the dream. Um,
That's got to be really. First of all, it's got to be really uplifting to know that what you're putting together
There's
has got there.
some other hand in
Right.
that stuff,
the
because
prophet on
yeah, that's
Supernatural,
Yeah.
but
That's
but not Chuck,
amazing.
because Chuck's an ass. But
That's funny. So, I'm sorry. With all the paranormal and occult that you kind of go through, was there like a certain part of it that was just so weird? You kind of went down this rabbit hole and kind of crafting it out and bringing it to life.
I think just so we did this one thing will set off an idea. Um, I don't even remember how this one started. I had a dream of them in as teenagers in a cabin. And I said to my co-writer, we don't have anything of them as teenagers. We should do something as teenagers. And that gave us the idea for a spin-off that we did, but we wound up actually merging it all, and that became their next life. So we wrote an entire other story, and it was 5 books, 4 or 5 books. Um, and when we finished that story, and we had 5 of the other story, my co-writer's like, we could probably just combine them. And I was like, no, you can't. And then I went through and everything could have been combined. So I combined everything. So now it's a series that happens actually after ours. So all of this that I wrote and everything that went through, it was meant to be after, and I didn't know it. So I went through this whole weird storyline and didn't realize it was like their next life. So I have like 3 lives for them now. I have the Western, I have Redemption, and then I have Resurrection, which was this other life I thought was there. So that was weird because at first it seemed like this entirely different, not connected what if story.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I was like, all right, well, this is completely different.
Huh.
But I think every dream I have that's connected to it is just a really weird, like I feel like the characters tell me what they want in the dream. They'll just be
Sure.
like, all right, let me show you how this goes. And
Right.
I always feel like the character. I always say to my co-writer, if I don't write it, she's gonna kill me. Like she's gonna be pissed
Yeah.
if I don't write it. Um, and I'll write nonstop. And I lead the story. My co-writer, mostly does Draven and helps. She, helps me with ideas. But generally I write it. So I don't know where a lot of it comes from. But I think the weirdest part is when I sit down and write and I have no idea where it's gonna go. And I like to see where it goes. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. I wonder where this is going.
Yeah.
But like my character goes to different worlds and she interacts with Hecate and Hades and all this stuff. And everyone's like, they always thought it was they want me to like do movies and stuff. I don't want to do any of that.
Sure.
But one day I'd like to do an animated series, but I'd have to have full control. I am very,
Yeah.
very, very, very protective of my characters.
Well, sure.
So
It makes sense.
somebody said, what would be your price to sell it? I was like, there is no price in the world that I would sell these characters for, which my husband is not like that answer.
He's like, well, hold on a second. There could
there
possibly
could be a price.
Yeah.
like $1 billion. Like, no, there is nothing. These are my characters.
Yeah.
And I'm very protective of them. And someone
As you should
were
be.
like, oh, you should do like, topless covers. And I was like, no, she can't be. No, Draven would kill her. No, I can't do that. So,
Yeah. Well, you always want to stay true to what your vision is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that point of being independent when you realize, okay, you're not paying off your house, but it's okay because you still have full control over everything.
Yeah. I used to joke when I did podcasts that I said, listen, if next time I'm on this show, there's a library behind me. It didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but
Right.
but I get told a lot because right now I'm releasing issue 3 in Westerns live now on Kickstarter. So if everyone wants to see it, just search Worthy Chaos on everything. But issue 15 of Redemption is next month. So issue 15 is going to be out, but my artist is working on 22. I can't sell those 7 that are done until I get to that point in the Kickstarter, which is pretty much 2027 at this point.
Wow.
So I got yelled at a few times where they're like, how do you know it's going to sell? And I was like, don't care. I was like,
True.
this is for me. And
Yeah.
I don't like that answer, but I'm like, listen, I'm releasing it for me and I would release it anyway. Like if I didn't get any money from it, it'd probably just take me longer at this point. But they are starting to pay for themselves, which thank you. That makes my life easier.
Great.
And no divorce.
Break even is nice. Yes.
Yeah. But I'd still make them. And my husband knows that. And I just got very, very, very lucky that people enjoy it. Like I don't have a huge fan base. I have about, I'd say 120 very loyal readers. Which I'm very grateful for them that they do that. And I really thought that the Western was going to do worse. Even my friend, but she didn't mean it this way, I guess. But she's just like, why would you need to release another one? Like, why would anyone read a second one? And I was like, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I want to see it done.
For sure.
And I did. And now that one makes, a lot more than the other one. The other one's kind of, I felt so proud of it on the last Kickstarter. Usually it makes about 4,000, which just pays off the comic book and doesn't really, that doesn't pay for the printing or merch. But it went to 5 something, and I was so proud of it. I was like, good for you.
That's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
And
the
that-
Western's
honestly-
more marketable. Like I spent a lot more
Yeah.
on the Western and all that stuff, but I'm so proud of it. And but it's mostly for me, you know, and I'm just grateful.
And that's the
people
most
read it.
important part, really,
Mhm.
is putting something out there that you've worked so hard on and you see it come to life. I mean, yeah,
No better feeling.
there's no better
Yeah.
feeling. Of course, money's nice, but you know, it's one of those things where when you put something out and you're like, I did that. You know, nobody else did that.
Let me tell you something. When I'm packing these, especially Redemption, because I love the Western and I have loyal readers on the Western, but I use Marvel artists to kind of, you know, bring in more readers.
Sure.
So I understand they spend a lot because they want the art. I don't even know if they read the story. But then I have the loyal ones that are spending like 100 plus, even if they've spent 5. But I'll be packing their stuff and I was like, I can't believe you spend this much on something I wrote. Like I have this journal, this supernatural journal, that every time there's a cryptid in the story, anyone that bought the journal gets the journal pages for free when they back the campaign.
Oh, great.
And I have about 45, 48 people that are doing it. And I didn't think anyone would do that. I was like, I'm just printing these out. I'm very knowingly cutting them and hole punching them myself, which was dumb. I don't know why I thought of this. But it's very cool that these people are collecting these pages and it just amazes me that people are spending money on my stuff, especially nowadays where no one has any money.
Right. Yeah.
So when they spend it on something that I wrote, it's a very, very cool thing. My biggest ego
really
trip,
cool.
though, is I go to Nashville Comic-Con fairgrounds every year. And every single year, at least 5 to 7 people come back looking for me to see what the next thing out
Oh,
was.
Oh, that's
So
great.
this
That's
one this year was the first year I only had 3 issues. So everyone bought 3 issues. And then my second year I had a hardcover and they're like, "Oh, we got to buy the hardcover." And then this past year is book 2 and they're like, "Oh, we got to buy book 2 and when's the next one?" And I was like, "I'm going to have book 3 in a month." And they're like, "All right." So that's the biggest, you know, because when I first started, and I know this is true. People bought it because of me, which is still touching. You spent money on me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't really care. You know, they didn't know the story. They spent money on because I'm talkative and they wanted to shut me out, but that was the quickest way to do it. But you know, now they come back and they're still reading it and they really like it and that's a huge, you know, thing to have somebody
Yeah.
read your
Yeah.
stuff and be like, "Oh, I want more." And I was like, "I have more." It's like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
just hold on.
yeah, hold on,
Um,
I got it. No.
So, I mean, hit my mic. So kind of on that with your fans, and obviously they're probably very loyal, like you said, and there's a lot of things that you get to interact with them. But have they ever read something where they've gone, "Hey, you know what? That scared the crap out of me." And did they ever tell you about that? Be like, okay, that's a bridge too far for us.
They didn't get scared, but I had a few say that they needed therapy afterwards, so I take that as a compliment.
That's scary.
Wow. Yeah.
Generally the ending of book 2, and I kind of knew it would be a big deal. But it was just funny to have someone write to me and be like, "What did you do?" I was like,
Yeah.
like the story is
No.
like 100 issues. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, I had a few people say that they needed therapy after reading that, and I'll have people write me like, "Are they gonna be okay?" Like you, my artist, will be like, "Are they gonna be okay?" And I was like, "You're yes, yes, they'll be okay." I do torture my characters. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, they're writing it. They do it to themselves. I have nothing to do with it. But they do get tortured a lot. They go through a lot. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of twin flames. How you've heard of soulmates, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, twin flames are supposed to be the high. Like soulmates can be friends. Like I always consider my soul writer, my co-writer is my soul writer. But twin flames is supposed to be these two people that share a soul and they find each other in every life. But what happens is every time they meet, all hell gets broken loose. And in reality, the reason is karma is testing you to make sure that you know. So I always looked at it like when you're too happy, it's generally something's going to test you. It's to kind of do that.
Yeah.
So I always consider the fact that at least my characters are together, you know, during this hell storm that they go through.
Huh.
So I consider them twin flames, and you know, they and you know it's funny. So obviously I've always known kind of what their origin was. You know, Seraphina was created from this angelic weapon. They didn't know it would destroy the weapon. It's inside her. So Draven was created from the demons to kind of win her over, to kind of get her the weapon from her. Um, and they fell in love. And the prophecy was if an angel and a demon ever fell in love, they could never be separated or war would start. But I never literally had that first meaning in my head until 3 months ago. And I woke up and I said, I know how they met. And I write it down. And now I want to make that into a comic because obviously I want to see it.
That's really cool.
But it was so funny because I kind of knew what happened, but I'd never seen it happen. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, okay. So yeah.
I wish I could just go to sleep and wake up with all the answers.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I usually wake up with more questions.
Yeah.
Me too.
Sometimes I feel guilty because I'll have like other creators and they'll be like, when I first started in the community, like everyone thought I was crazy. And I even had somebody say to me, I go, why do some people like not like me? Or why do some people like not like nice? Or most of them are nice, 99%. But there was some weird people. And one of them said to me, you came out of nowhere and they have no idea what to make of you. You came out of nowhere with 125 issues and you just started making them high water. You didn't care. I was like, yeah. So a lot of people were jealous. And I said, don't be jealous. You can go into debt too if you want. It's not that hard.
It's not hard. If you got a credit card, I got time to show you.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you something. You know, I started my own business. You know, and so I already had the credit cards. So now I just have the credit card debt to go with them.
Hey,
it's
congratulations.
It's getting better.
That's
I'll probably
good.
come up
That's
with
good.
a new story. Someone's like, you ever going to write anything that isn't them? And I was like, no. It's always going to be them. It'll either be a side story because we came up with I told my co-writer about an idea I want to do that I already started writing it, where they find a genie lamp. And it twists all their wishes like horribly so. But the problem is that when one person makes a wish, that's the only person that can make a wish. And it was one of their enemies, but kind of their friend. And they made like an off wish. They didn't mean to, but he's like, oh, I wish Seraphina was mine instead of yours. And then this whole thing started and she knew like she was in love with Dre. So this whole thing happened. The only thing that we've never, ever been able to write is they can never kiss anybody else, like ever, like not even in like a fake story or possession or nothing. Like it just, I think we had an illusion once where she had to watch him kissing somebody else. But in the story, they can never do it, even when they're possessed or not in control or whatever. Or somebody is a shapeshifter pretending to be one and wants to get. It's still that we not allowed to. That was the only rule where
no cheating.
Yeah.
Well,
no cheating.
Like my husband's cousin said, why don't you have one like them break up or something and wind up with somebody else and then they have to go back? It's like that will never happen. Never going to happen. So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Crazy.
Do you find that? So I know you're into, obviously, the subject matter is incredible with, the angels and these sort of things. But do you find yourself interested in the general kind of paranormal things, the ghosts, the the hauntings and things like that?
There is, because she's a supernatural hunter, I do have a story. I wrote it out a long time ago. I haven't done it yet with her, but I do plan to. Where there's a ghost that you've seen Supernatural, right?
A little bit. That's one of the shows that
yeah.
we've been wanting to get into.
Yeah, you got to watch it. Well, I stopped watching after season 9, because I met my husband and something happened. If you didn't get to there, I won't say. Yeah, but something happened to one of my favorite characters. So I stopped watching, and then we started watching it again. So I got my husband obsessed. But I made a ghost story where they think it's werewolves because the hearts are missing, but it's not. It's actually a ghost. And so there's a whole background story of this ghost that did this before, and I think that's the only paranormal one that I've done that was like ghost related. But that was like a full on hunt. So I do want, like, there would be like, I don't know, a side story or something. I don't know how to yet to include that in my chaotic storyline right now, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
do have that in my head. So someday.
How about you yourself? Do you find yourself into the paranormal?
Um, I watch more than I read. Like,
Yeah.
I was really into true crime. Like, I have my bachelor's
Yeah.
in criminal justice, and I read, you know, all the serial killer books that girls love to read. But I watch a lot of ghost videos. Like, I don't know if you know Sir Spooks, and
Yep.
this is other one that I forget his name every time because he just pops up like once a month. But I'm like, every time I watch it, it's more like some of them you don't really believe. Like, some, I don't know if you watch Slapped Ham. Sometimes it's a little bit like,
Yeah.
no, that's, I don't know what that is. But this guy always has good one where I'm like, oh, that's, yeah. Before my husband met me, he was ignorant and didn't believe in ghosts. 5 minutes with me, he's like, so do we have ghosts? It's like, no, we don't have any ghosts. So
That's funny.
apparently unbelievable. But now I got him into it, and he's terrified of ghosts. They don't really bother me. I mean, if I had one, I might be so much worried. But there's this Angel show. I don't know if you know Buffy and Angel, whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
So Angel, Cordelia had a ghost in her house, and he would like bring her soda, and I was so jealous. I was like, such a cool thing. And like,
Yeah, that would
these
be
people would
helpful,
try to
wouldn't it?
break into the house, and the ghost would slam the door in their face, and I'm like, how do you not trust him to tell you not to open the door? I would piss me off. But yeah, so depending on the ghost, I'm all right. I used to go into like, I wouldn't say I went ghost hunting, but I went into a haunted house, in a abandoned house, and I loved it. I was like, this stuff is so cool.
It's addictive. It is
Yeah.
very
It is.
addictive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we do for the most part, other than the show, and it's an adrenaline rush, and it's a very expensive adrenaline rush, but
I know all about expensive.
but it is
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and I was just always curious because you know you're writing some very paranormal type stories, so I'm always curious about people who do that, kind of what their own belief structure is, and kind of how they
Mhm.
go through that, because it's gotta come out in the work even if you're just the pen for somebody else, there's
Yeah.
still something there that kind of keeps you, I guess,
Motivated.
yeah, in that
Yeah.
loop of paranormal.
I would say I study. I've gone down the rabbit hole of cryptids now since I've added them to the story. Like, I didn't know who Squonk was. You know who Squonk is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Squonk became a regular character in my story because I felt bad for him. And Serafina loves him, loves him, like,
Mm.
wants, you know, feeds him strawberries, and Draven wants to shoot him like at all times. He's like, he looks like he smells. Like, it was this whole thing. So but I've gone down the rabbit hole of it started as like simple everyday, you know, Bigfoot, Wendigo,
Yeah.
Mothman, you know, they're all in the story. But then I was like, oh, what is this thing here? Like, do you know The Last Unicorn? The fire ox? Your Generation X, you should know Last Unicorn.
It does ring a bell, I just don't know
So
why.
the last unicorn was driven to the ocean by a fire bull. Is this bull in flames?
I know
Well,
this. Why do I
apparently
know
it's a
this?
real bull. Indian culture, not Native American, but like actually Indian.
Right, right.
India. Yeah.
Mhm.
His name is Artax, AXXTE. And he's in my story. And it wasn't intentional,
Gosh, I
but
know
when he
this.
showed up, I was like, oh, I know him.
Huh.
So I learned all of these, you know, even when I went to cryptid fairs, nobody knows what the
Mhm.
worm is, the head of a cat and the body of a dragon,
Mm.
toxic
I
breath.
haven't heard that one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I went down the rabbit hole of cryptids more than the paranormal. I do like paranormal and I watch it a lot, but research
Mhm.
wise, I think I've done a lot of research on cryptids because I don't do territorial wise. Like, I I have a portal that they go through because otherwise they travel. I
Okay.
can't travel that much in the Old West. So they're not in their technical states that they're supposed to be into, but they're in their environments that should be. Like, the Tassel worm is only where it's human and you know, kind of jungle kind of thing, and
Okay.
all this stuff. So I've done a lot of research on those. Like, there's a rabbit hole that just keeps
Oh yeah,
going.
there's so many.
Yeah,
There are so many.
yeah. But
That's
but it's
interesting.
funny what I chose to be on, I don't want to say this side of good or neutral good. Like Bigfoot, let's see, Bigfoot, Mothman, Jackalope, Squonk, um, what's the other one I had? The Artex box. Um, I try to think who was on the side of good. Um, so all these ones that are like neutral good, you know, um,
Mm-hmm.
are I, I assume they're natural good. I don't know if they are, but they just seem to me like the Squonk. I mean, he just cries about how ugly he is. I mean, he's not bad. He's not a
Yeah.
bad
I know
guy.
the feeling.
So this was the rabbit hole of like, oh, are the Tommy knockers good or not? And the Tommy knockers are in my story, and they start off, to annoy you and scare you, and then they warn you by knocking,
Yeah.
Great
So
book, weird TV show. That's all I keep remembering about that.
Yeah, that's
A
true.
very weird TV
I
show.
don't know if
But
I remember the TV show. I can't remember if I watched it.
it
So
was different. But so you write a lot about, kind of some dark things, some paranormal things. Do you find that by doing that, it kind of makes you a little bit more attuned to I guess the not so normal parts of the world, the different
yeah.
things that are going on?
Well, I mean, I always was drawn to like I was always drawn to Hecate. I used to have an intense fear of dying, like super, super. Like I would like be driving and just everything would go black, and I would just picture that's what death was. And it wasn't until actually it if you want to hear a funny story, I was kind of trying to find who who to kind of follow or study, whatever. And I was staring out the window and I asked for a sign. I was like, oh, what's a good, whatever. So there was a black cat that was walking into my yard at the time. And my yard was at 3 walls. I mean, once it's in, you can't really go out. So I broke
Hmm.
downstairs and there was nothing there. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I went into the woods looking for it or whatever, and there's nothing there. And I found a piece of wood that looks like, whatever. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I went inside. So I was looking up black cats and the wood that I found, and both lead to Hecate. So apparently,
Hmm.
she will show up in the form of a black cat or raven. And the funny part is that I don't know if it's because I'm Pisces or what, but I can never make more than 2 decisions. I can get it down to 2 decisions, and then So she is the goddess of witchcraft and crossroads. And she does not like it when you don't make a decision because she's the whole crosswords. And I was like, that's very fitting.
That
Um,
is, yeah.
so yeah, so if I want to believe that that was a sign, that was one of those things. So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm,
Who knows? I don't
that's
know.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, kind of before we wrap up, because I know that you've got a Kickstarter going on. Can you kind of tell us what that's all about, and kind of how our audience and anybody listening to this can kind of get involved?
Yeah, of course. So, instead of doing, like I said, 4 Kickstarters like normal people, I do like 8. So I pretty much have a Kickstarter every month. And the best way for me to say how to find me is I am always on there no matter what. I currently have 3. Is it 3? Yeah, I have 3 in pre-launch, which if anyone doesn't know what Kickstarter is, you go into pre-launch, you try to get followers, and then you launch and you're live. So right now I currently have the Western issue 3 live on Kickstarter. So if you go to Kickstarter.com and you search Worthy Chaos, I'm the only thing that pops up. You can go to my live one. You can look at all the add-ons. There's plushies and all this fun stuff. You can also catch up really easily. You can get 1 and 2. But then you can go join the pre-launches. I have one for issue 15. I have one for issue 1, Damnation. And I have just my first one ever. Well, hopefully it goes well. Just Cryptids. No comics, just Cryptids. And it's because I have so much merch that I need to kind of, Kickstarter made this new thing where you only have 99 rewards. And they probably thought it was a lot. It is not. So I run out of every time. So you can also Google Worthy Chaos, and I still pop up. My website pops up, my Kickstarter pops up, my Facebook pops. So I'm wherever chaos is. And
I love that tagline.
From
wherever
wherever
chaos is, I am
chaos
definitely there.
is. That might
So
be
yeah,
the title of this.
yeah,
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 that's a good title.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like
Well,
that.
I was asked where the name. How did we get the name Where the Chaos? And when we first started, we were role playing. I didn't have a name, and then I was like, oh, we'll do fated chaos, but it was everywhere. It's like 4 books, and I was like, all right, that's not gonna work. So there's something he says all the time now, because Seraphina is an angel. Everything negative is and positive, but mostly negative things are attracted to her, so she causes all this trouble. So to her, she thinks she's too much of a burden for Draven, whereas Draven thinks that he's not worthy of her. So he always says that she's worth it. So I was like, all right, well, she's worthy chaos. So now she's the worthy chaos in his
Nice.
life. So yeah,
That's perfect.
I love that.
I
yeah.
don't think you can,
So
Perfect.
I don't think you can end it even better than that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Carissa Grant, thank you so much for
Yeah,
being on the
thank
show.
yeah,
We had a
thanks for having
blast.
me.
Yeah, and we look forward to kind of getting kicked off with Kickstarter. No pun intended. That's really cool. But yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, we'll talk to you
Appreciate
later.
it.
All right. Hey, thanks, Carissa. Thanks
Yeah,
for stopping
thank
by.
you.
You know, I gotta admit, I'm a creative. I know that.
Mhm.
But the amount of things that she has going on in her head is just, I mean, it's amazing.
I wish I could go to sleep and create this whole world in my head and wake up and just like create, like just sit down and it just flow. I'm not that person.
When I get out of bed, it's like I've got more questions than I ever had answers of anything. Like I'm questioning how I'm taking the next step. We're getting the dogs out in time, things like that. It's amazing.
I definitely think of things while I'm sleeping that I forgot to do. I mean, that's just more responsibility than anything. But yeah, there's definitely a hand in what she does. Like she's meant to do this.
For sure.
Yeah. She's been put on this path.
Absolutely. And if you guys hadn't guessed, she's got so much out there, and it sounds like she's got a lot coming out.
And it comes from the heart. That's what's the best part is she would do it whether she made a dime or not.
That's the most important. Guys, there are comic books out there that are very corporate. There's people that churn them out, and they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it's a labor of love like this, where it's coming from, like you said, like she said, it's like she is writing for them.
Yeah.
She's just their muse, and it's really nice to see that, and I can't wait to look at it. I think we're gonna have to pick up the hardcover.
Yeah, they sound pretty cool. I want to read them. But if you want to check them out, simplest way is just go to worthychaoscomics.com. And from there you can, join in on the Kickstarter. And they've got some cool little plushies.
Yeah, those plushies are cool.
Yeah, of a couple Egyptian ones and different cryptid. And you can submit like what you want, like what cryptid you want them to make.
That's
they'll
just
make up a
wild.
cryptid, which that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I may have to look at that.
Yeah, I love that.
But guys, tell us what you think. I mean, let us know what you. Obviously, this is different, but let us know if you liked it. I'm sure you did. We're excited that you got to meet her, and look forward to everything she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than that, guys, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.